It is episode 58. It is episode 58, right, Matt?
Yes. No.
What? It's not? I swear we were on episode 58. Don't tell me different. I'm going to pretend it is, and we're going to roll with that for now. This is episode 58 of the We Are One, You Are Two PlayStation and Video Game Podcast. Mostly PlayStation podcast. I don't even know why I say video games anymore. I'm your host, as always, Rob Fanzo. Joined this week, once again, by Matt Rhodes.
Hey-o.
So, Matt, we've got a good show lined up for people. We've got lots of good stuff regarding Anthem this week. That's a lie, of course. We've also got really good stuff about the PS drop. We'll talk about some big games that came out. You may and I may have been playing one or two of them. And then we're also going to talk about gameplay mechanics this week as well. Just because last week we talked a little bit about comfort food games, and then I kind of want to do a special episode for The Division, and you and I want more hands-on time with it, and so
I feel like we need more together time.
Yes.
I played it all day yesterday, so
and I've also put several hours in, not nearly probably what you have, but
yeah. But I'd rather have more time if we're going to do a special episode of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll cover that next week, and that's fine. I think that'll work out nicely because next week, or actually this upcoming week as this podcast releases, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice comes out, and I know I'll be sinking a lot of time into that as well. So
you will?
I will.
Why?
Because it's
do you like From Software? Oh. That's right, you do.
Yeah, and I'll chronicle that journey some other time about how much I hated Dark Souls the first time I played it, and now how I can't get enough of it. Anyway, I do want to remind people that if you like what you hear, you can head over to support us by liking us on iTunes, rating us on there, rating us on whatever platform you listen to us on, Spotify. I don't even know if they have a rating system. Google Play, Stitcher. Share it with your friends. That's really what we care about. Sure, we have a Patreon, and sure, you can donate there, but I'd rather you share the episode than give us $1. And then if you feel like doing that later on down the road, you're welcome to. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into some stuff this week. Let's actually talk a little bit, since we were just talking about Division, because we've both been playing that. And I don't want to say too much about it, except that I've really enjoyed it so far. But what else have we been playing this week? I'll let you start as always.
It's a nice little segue for what we've been playing. I've been playing Fortnite. I've been playing Rocket League. I've been playing a bunch of the Division. I can't get enough.
Okay.
I know you were upset with me yesterday because
you're dirty.
Felt like
cheating.
I cheated on you.
You did. You the worst kind of cheated. You video game cheated. That's like Netflix cheating.
That's true. You're right. But I thought to myself, when's he gonna have time for me? So I better just do some things, man. I was like, so I looked some stuff up. I just wandered around for a while, which was really kind of cool. Kind of found some things. I found a hyena key, finally.
You and I will talk about that off air because I really need to know about that. And we'll talk about that more next week, too.
Yeah, I almost put up something on the website about where to find one, because there's 3 factions, right? There's the hyenas, there's the True Sons, and then there's the what's the other one?
I don't know.
Outcasts. Yeah. I believe Outcasts is the third. I haven't run into all of these. It's just that I was rummaging through a sewer and I found 2 True Sons keys and 2 Outcast keys, and I was mad because I thought the sewer was going to have hyena keys, but it did not. Because that's really what I wanted. I wanted a hyena key, and I've only found 1 so far in the game, but I found 2 of the other factions each. So that one sewer was a treasure trove of keys, which was awesome. I've been playing a lot of that yesterday. That's pretty much it. I'm trying to think what else. Apex Legends, obviously. I've been trying to dive into that a little bit more and trying to be better at that. We'll talk a little bit off air about that because the guy my friend who I work with who wins a lot, he was him and I were talking about it, and he kind of shared a tactic with me that I want to talk to you about off air. But
sounds good.
But yeah, what have you been playing, Robert?
Well, I've also played a little bit of Apex Legends. Mostly though, Not nearly as much as I want, of course. I've been playing Division 2. I was going to play a ton of it last night with you, actually. We were going to record last night as well.
Right.
But my cat had a fever yesterday, and so I didn't really get to play as much yesterday. That's a long story. I post about some of it on Twitter and Instagram. If you follow me on there, you get the full story. And then
I had a fever yesterday too, and the only cure was more Division 2.
I know I've got a fever for wanting to play more of that too. So I've been playing that. I've been trying to finish up Devil May Cry 4 because I have 5 sitting here, and I really hear great things about 5, and I really wanted to hop into it before the Division. And I have like 3 freaking missions left in 4, and so I just want to finish it because I know what'll happen. Once I start 5, I won't go back to 4. And so I've also been playing, though, and I talked to you about this last week, I think. I've been playing a lot of Foul Play.
Okay.
I'm actually in the final. I think I'm on the final play. There's 5 plays.
Ooh.
And each one has 5 acts. And I just finished the 4th play, Act 5 today, or Scene 5, whatever it was, today. And so I'm going to finish. I think I'm going to finish Foul Play this week. I'm going to try and get maybe some of those stupid trophies like Cannonball 100 times and Pile Drive 100 times and deflect a bullet back or whatever 100 times. I've been working on those through the campaign. But yeah, I really enjoy that still. I've been playing a lot of that. And I think that's really all I've been playing. Oh, I played Omen Sight, a ton of Omen Sight this week. How dare I not mention Omen Sight? Oh, yeah. And that's a really cool game. It came out last year. I thought it was this year, but it was last year. But I really enjoy it. You go back and it's like an animal. You're basically this harbinger, like this nondescript creature, and there's a bunch of animals that are at war and they cause the end of the world. And so you go back to the beginning of each day with each one of the different like leaders of the armies, and you see the day through their eyes. But then what's cool is you unlock certain things during each one of their days that you go back and play the other day again with someone else, and you have like a key that opened a door that wasn't previously there, and so you actually change their path. And then you also get these things called Omen Sight where you can show them how the world is going to end and who might be responsible, and that also changes their behavior and changes your path through their day. And so even though you might play their day multiple times, you probably have, from what I've gathered, maybe 2, 3, 4 different paths per day. And each one unlocks new clues into who unleashed the end of the world. And so it's only like 8 hours to beat. I think I'm like 3 hours into it. And so...
sounds pretty cool, though.
It's really cool. It's definitely worth it if it's on sale. I don't know if it's on sale this week. I'll have to look. So...
There are hundreds of games on sale, literally.
Yeah, if you're listening to this week, the week of the 17th, there is literally, I think it runs through the 29th. There is literally like...
Yeah, I think it's to the end of the month.
I think I went through, I clicked to the end, there's 37 or 27 pages worth of sales.
That's crazy, man.
So you can very easily get a ton of games. So that's exciting.
Also, thanks for mentioning Foul Play, because I did play some of that today, or play some of that as well. That is a very funny game, and I like how it is set up.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, the plot's just enough that it keeps pulling you in. If you keep going through it, like once you get through that first act, and he starts getting into the second act, talking about his father and like his how his father was a demon hunter and how like he's getting little clues that what's going on with this world. It's really cool, really bizarre. So
yeah, sweet.
All right, let's go ahead and move into our PS and hyphen news as we always do right around this time. So that will be this. And Matt, I've got over 20 stories this week. I don't want to go through them all because some of them...
That's a lot of stories, Robert.
A lot of them overlap. And these, I should say, are last week by the time you're hearing this. These are last week's news. And I'm sure it'll change, so that's all right.
So the PSN hyphen old news.
Yes. Well, I mean, it is typically, we're, roughly a week behind with the news.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we release at the beginning of the week, and so it catches you up on everything you might have missed last week. And I know I always appreciate that when I listen to a podcast. I always appreciate it when someone goes, oh, hey, so, I didn't know what was going on last week. And for me, sometimes I'm so busy, the news that I get comes from other podcasts as well. And I might miss something or I might not hear something. And so I try to keep up to date, but I always slip through the cracks. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about this. The first story involves Devil May Cry. They have, I just want to mention this real quick. Devil May Cry 5 has microtransactions and they're live now on PS4. They're not that terrible, I thought, and you don't really need them. I just wanted to mention that. But this past week, I think number 2 is more important because we've talked about this several times on the show. The Sony censorship row has re-erupted, and it ties into Devil May Cry 5. If you've been playing it, you may have noticed that there is an additional lens flare in the PlayStation 4 of the game, obscuring a shot of Trish's derriere, as they said in Push Square. Though light rays are not present in the Xbox One or PC versions of the game, nor are they included in other versions of the game either. So, what's interesting, though, about this is that there's another scene in the game where Lady, that's the name of the character, her posterior is covered up on every platform. So, no idea what's going on. Clearly, this is Sony California's weird censorship issue with Japanese-made games.
Dumb. Just dumb.
It is. And
it's a butt.
It is. And what's funny is most of them in the past have been visual novels, and they've been censoring ones that suggest that those girls look kind of young because they're cartoonish. And so, whatever. This one's a little weird, though, because it's a grown woman in a game. And somebody else pointed out on Twitter that Devil May Cry 5 has that butt censored, but you can play Metro Exodus and walk into a bar where there's strippers topless. And so...
Exactly. How does that make sense?
No, it doesn't. And the butt is, like, barely visible in the one scene. The other scene that's censored heavily in is much more apparent and a little bit more revealing. But anyway...
Now, I have a question, and I have a quick question, though. Is it a teen game or a mature game?
Which one?
Devil May Cry 5.
Oh, Devil May Cry 5? It is an M-rated game.
So it's
just like Metro Exodus.
Okay.
M-rated
game. Yeah, well, of course. I knew Metro Exodus would have been because of the shooter, but... Wow. So that's silly.
Yeah, it is a little silly. So I wanted to mention that while I was at it. Also, number 3 that I have on here. So we're going to blow through some of these very quickly. You know, I don't think people report on this very much anymore. But Days Gone officially has gone gold, which means it's ready to be published and sent out to people.
I did see that. I'm excited.
I am too. Number 4. This one ties into anyone who's downloaded The Division. You and I went with a digital copy of The Division, and I'll explain why in a minute. The Division 2 had a day 1 patch that was around 90 gigs. Now, if you purchased the game on disc, it also took up about 90 gigs. And so that 90 gig patch actually replaced the 90 gigs on disc. So I'm not saying it replaced the whole game, but clearly they made a number of tweaks since the beta. And what it sounds like is basically they wanted to replace the file that you put in. And so you're actually kind of buying, the disc acts like a key to unlock, I feel like, the game itself. And so I didn't see a reason to buy The Division 2 physically like I did with the first one, because why am I going to buy something that's basically going to be replaced? So I literally just wanted to mention that. I thought that was a silly kind of little concept that was going on there. Number 5, I'm super excited about.
I also did get it digitally, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I felt the same way. I was like, why would I wait for the disc to come just for me to have to download that much? So I rarely do this. I rarely put my PlayStation in rest mode because I don't care. I'm usually on it enough that it doesn't matter. But I was like, well, for 90 gigabytes, I better leave it on rest mode. So I did, and just let it install overnight.
Yeah, that's all you can do. Number 5 was just an image from Twitter that I found and pulled. Cyberpunk just sent out a thing thanking their fans for their time together. There was also some more Cyberpunk 2077 news this week that suggested it may come out in 2019. We'll get to that a little bit later, though. I do want to point out number 6 here. There was a game called The Sinking City, which was a very Lovecraftian type weird looking game that I was kind of excited about. I appreciate this. The developer pushed back the game from March 21st to June 27th, and they said, look, here's the deal. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is out. The Division 2's out. Devil May Cry came out a few weeks before that. Mortal Kombat's out a couple weeks after that. We don't want this to suffer. We're just going to push it back to June and take that extra time.
I mean, I respect that.
I hugely respect
especially
that.
Especially if they're going to do something with that time. I mean, if they're going to be like, well, we're just going to wait and not try to improve upon the game, then then that would be kind of silly.
It would be, but I do think that this will be time for them to edit and go ahead and be better about it. But what I also appreciate about that is that this is a game that would normally get swallowed up with poor sales, because even though it's something I'm interested in, March has already broken my wallet. So I don't feel the need to, this would have been one I would have checked out on sale. But with Sekiro coming out the day after it, why would I bother? And Division the week before.
Yeah, exactly.
And speaking of Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, it does come out this week. We'll be talking about it, along with the Division 2, probably next week. I'll be talking about it. I do want to mention that they're not giving out review copies of the game to any influencers, to any websites. No one is getting review copies beforehand. Now, normally with a game, that signals some sort of warning, that it might be bad. But I do think with Sekiro, they just want to keep it tightly under wraps. I can't imagine From Software. When's the last time From Software made a bad game? All the Souls games have been loved. Bloodborne was loved. Demon Souls people loved. I can't think of a terrible From Software game, so I'm not really worried about this. But if you're looking for reviews this week, you're not going to get it from creators until probably, what comes out on Friday? Probably not until Monday, I would guess, or Tuesday. So I did just want to mention that.
They'll be playing it all weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. A couple other things I'll mention real quick. Number 9, I'm going to skip number 8 for a moment because it's just talked about February's top downloads for the PlayStation Store. And if you want to go look at that, it's kind of cool. Go over to the blog. You can check it out. I found some really interesting stuff in there. Obviously, Apex Legends, Anthem, and Beat Saber were the top digitally downloaded games. And that kind of made me laugh because Anthem was number 1, Jump Force was number 2, and those both got very lukewarm reviews. And of course, Grand Theft Auto 5 was number 3 because it's still selling. Rainbow Six Siege, though, was number 4. I do want to point that out. And then Far Cry 5 actually outsold Far Cry New Dawn last month.
Wow.
So I also wanted to point that out. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And I thought Apex Legends outselling Fortnite. I mean, Fortnite also has been downloaded by tons of people, so it's not a shock that it's not the top. But it does say something about Apex Legends being clearly very popular right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, what I want to talk about with number 9 is if you're a fan of physical games like I am, although I do love my digital as well, Hollow Knight is actually going to be getting... Team Cherry revealed that Hollow Knight will be getting a physical edition. And Matt, I looked it up, and I love it. I think it looks amazing. I probably will pass on it. But if I had the time for it or money, I would definitely get it. I've been playing that game. I love it. And so if you get a chance, if you're a physical collector, go for it. It's going to be a great little game to add to your collection. Number 10, speaking of games that are also coming to PS4, The Messenger, which I was super excited about because that was on Switch last year, is now coming to PS4. And then if I remember correctly, I want to say Special Reserve Games also announced that there will be a physical edition of it. And so it is an 8-bit and 16-bit style game where you guide a ninja through an interconnected map full of platforming and various enemies. So it's kind of like old school Ninja Gaiden, right?
Cool.
So we're booking through these. Number 11, I'm going to just touch on real quick because I have it on here several times. Anthem just had a terrible week. Let's just leave it at that. There was multiple news stories about loot boxes not matching up, about nerfing things, about issues regarding weapons and how you were grinding away but you weren't really getting anything, and that some of the better weapons that you had in the very beginning of the game actually did more damage. There was something about taking your armor off and it caused you to do way more damage. That was almost ridiculous to the point where you didn't need to level up your character. And so there's lots of weird stuff going on there.
Yeah, broken algorithms. Oh, so much fun.
So anyway, it's a mess and just not worth talking about. However, what is worth talking about, speaking of loot shooters, not only did Division 2 came out this week, but we got a couple mysterious tweets from the good old Gearbox Twitter account. And so they did tweet one that clearly looks like on the 28th of March that we're going to get a Borderlands 3 reveal. But then they tweeted out a second tweet this week that I didn't put in the news that also indicated that they were going to release a new IP or give us a look at a new IP this week as well. And so,
in addition to,
on March 28th at PAX, it looks like they're going to not only show us Borderlands 3 for the first time, because the image that they put up looks like a style similar to the Adventures of Claptrap.
Okay.
And it says Exit 3 above on the door. And so everyone's taking that as Borderlands 3. And so we'll see what happens. I think we'll probably... I mean, they openly admitted, I believe, at one point that they were working on hopefully a Borderlands 3, but they didn't want to talk about anything yet. So we'll probably get that, and we'll get probably a new IP as well. I'll be curious to see what they do. So the other thing I want to mention about Cyberpunk, jumping down a little bit, because I've covered the Anthem ones. Cyberpunk 2077, again, there supposedly was a leak spotted by a Reddit user. A description on the official website for Territory Studio said that the company worked on the cool logo design animation for Cyberpunk 27. Apparently stated the game is set to release in 2019, but that was removed shortly after it was made public. I don't think this is true. I think that might have been a mock-up from years ago, and they just had that date in as a placeholder. I can't imagine that game's ready. Even though you can play it from beginning to end, it's not like CD Projekt Red to rush something out. So I'm expecting...
Yeah, for sure.
And I still think 2020 sounds way more futuristic, so that's when I think it'll release.
2020.
It does. It sounds futuristic.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No. So moving through the news, this is item 15. Again, we've jumped around a little bit. Battlefield 5 Battle Royale mode is coming, called Firestorm. In other news, no one cares, but it is a free update on March 25th. And so I watched the trailer. It looks okay. I actually like the concept. You know, most of these Battle Royales, the arena shrinks, and the arena just goes down, and it's a wall, glowing wall, and there's no real explanation for it. What I like about Battlefield 5's idea is that you're outside in these areas, and it's a fire that's consuming and burning and moving in. And so I thought that was a really cool idea. It looks like if you
that's pretty cool.
Get stuck behind it, your guy is burning and he's catching on fire. So I thought that was rather clever.
Yeah.
So we'll see how well it does. You can be revived by teammates, so clearly pulling something out of Apex Legends. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, I feel like that's any Battle Royale if you have squads, though.
Yeah, I agree. Did you ever play Left 4 Dead?
I had no.
Okay, well, the developer behind Turtle Rock Studios, they did Evolve a few years ago as well, announced it's partnering with publisher Warner Brothers on a new co-op first-person shooter game called Back 4 Blood. I mean, it sounds okay as a title, but it's definitely going to be a, quote, designed from the ground up as an original premium title that marries the best of what made co-op zombie shooters so successful with new features and state-of-the-art technology, unquote. So it's not Left 4 Dead 3, but it's going to be similar, it sounds like. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, people love Left 4 Dead 3, so we'll see what happens. I don't mean to keep jumping back and forth, but there was more Cyberpunk. I should have just rearranged these. There was more Cyberpunk news that they responded to like a 3-year-old tweet of Lady Gaga's this week that her Twitter account did. And people took that as she must be in Cyberpunk 2077. So we'll see.
That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome. We'll see what happens there. To start to wrap things up here with the news, I do want to point out that Yakuza Judgment has been pulled from physical and digital storefronts in Japan because one of the game's voice actors was arrested for the alleged use of cocaine. And so they're also reconsidering the Western release of it in June. It's now under consideration. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Japanese culture, but you are held to a very high standard over there, not like in good old America. And so if you get caught doing drugs, pretty much they scrub all of your work from the public eye and scrub you from society.
Wow.
So, seeing as this has happened with one of Yakuza's playable characters who was recast when it made its way to the PS4 in Japan because of cocaine abuse, don't be surprised if Judgment gets delayed from June to the fall because they decided to recast this guy and redo all of his lines. and to
Wow,
scrub him.
that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Could you imagine if we scrubbed celebrities' work over here so it was not accessible anymore? Could you imagine with like the last 2 years the way things have been? How many we'd have like half the films we used to have. You know, I mean,
Right.
how many movies has Spacey been in, or Louis C.K.? You know, how much shows content has he done? Like, could you imagine all
Yeah.
those guys if we scrubbed all that?
Yikes.
It would be insane. Or Weinstein, every one of his movies got scrubbed. Or
Yeah, that's a lot of
Bryan
stuff.
Singer, right? All that stuff. I mean, so. And that ties into, this is totally unrelated to anything we're going to talk about. I saw that K-pop in South Korea is under fire too, because apparently some of the most famous K-pop stars in the world were running prostitution rings. So we'll see what happens there.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So in case you didn't know it, I knew it already, but it was officially confirmed by EA that they paid one of the most popular streamers in the world $1 million to help promote Apex Legends. I'm, of course, talking about Ninja.
Wow.
So apparently,
I didn't even know he's promoting it.
well, he played it for about 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
And then he went back to, I checked the other day when I saw this news story, and he was playing Fortnite. But
Yeah.
supposedly they dropped about $1 million to have him play that, which I don't blame them, because they dropped it out of nowhere. They know he has 30 to 40,000 viewers a day.
Yeah.
So they know that that's 30,000 people right then and there, and go, what? Ninja's playing Apex Legends? I want to do that.
I mean, that was a smart investment for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And last but...
On a side
sure.
note, question for you. Sorry. Do you think that's going to happen more often? Do you think that's the way that video games and publishers will start to advertise games like that?
Yes. I don't see why
Is
not.
to get influencers. I mean, obviously they already do it to a certain
Well, that's
extent.
why they give
but I
that
mean,
stuff for free, right? Because they know they'll play it. But I think
Yeah.
you'll start to see paid influencers, and I think what it's going to happen. And this might be me reading the tea leaves on this and predicting something that's not even there. I think you're eventually going to see what happen is one of the influencers influence something in such a way that they have to actually come out and say, you know, just so you're clear, because right now Ninja, as far as I know, has not actually said that he was paid, right? And they haven't had
Yeah.
an open agreement. Just full disclosure type thing. You're going to get to the point where streamers have to have full disclosure and say,
well, they're actually supposed to.
yes.
Like I know that influencers are supposed to disclose that they are being paid by the company to do that.
Yes. Certain content influencers certainly are, right? But I do.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works with streaming.
I don't know how it works with streamers either, but I imagine that it probably has a different set of rules that aren't as strict. Like if you and I, when we did Sword Legacy Omen, I wanted people to be clear that we were talking about it and how much we enjoyed it, but we'd also received a free copy of that game from the dev, from Arthur himself.
Yeah.
And so I wanted them, I mean, I still was going to give my honest opinion. If I didn't like it, I didn't like it. But
Yeah, of course.
you know,
Well, that's the other thing is like I've watched YouTubers, a couple, like one of the Fortnite guys. There'll be random episodes that are actually sponsored by stuff, and when they are, he won't ask for subscriptions or likes for his video.
yeah. And
He'll just do a commercial. He'll be like, oh, this commercial's, or this video is paid for by these people. He'll do like a commercial at the beginning and then maybe something at the end, but he won't say anything about like or subscribe because he's already gotten paid for the thing.
exactly. And so I think, don't get me wrong, I don't think anything's going to happen right now, but I think at some point, I feel like someone down the line is going to screw something up, and it's going to become required that streamers by Twitch or other things may have to disclose that.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least, to wrap this all up, we started with Devil May Cry 5 news. If you missed it this week, Devil May Cry 5 is also getting, this is how we're going to wrap it up, is also getting the Bloody Palace back, which is apparently something from Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. I didn't know that's what it was. It basically allows you to hack and slash your way through hordes of enemies. And so it was kind of like an arena type thing, survival mode. Supposedly, it's coming to 5, and apparently it may also have online multiplayer functionality and an additional playable character. So
Interesting.
yeah, I'm kind of excited about that because I Devil May Cry is a game that I didn't get in. I played the first one, never played anything after that. I don't know how I missed them. And you and I have talked about this multiple times off air. I went back and played DMC by Ninja Theory, which I know everyone hates, blah, 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 but I still enjoyed it. And I'm working my way through 4. I've mentioned that several times on the podcast. I may go back to 3 eventually, but 5 is next on my list because I just have been chomping at the bit to get there. So we'll get that and see what happens. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. All right. So let's go ahead. That wraps up the news. So thanks, PS-N. We'll see you later. I don't know why I felt like I needed to say that. Let's go ahead and move to the topic of conversation for now. This is something that, Matt, I've been playing Omen Sight, and I'll be honest, Omen Sight, what attracted me to this. So this is the talk. There we go. I officially transitioned us in. I always want to make sure I mention that, right? Our topic of conversation. So
it was a good transition.
Yeah, it was a weak transition.
Good
okay.
job.
Favorite gameplay mechanics. I came up with this week because I was playing Omen Sight and I realized I was loving Omen Sight because it reminded me of Nier Automata. And I'm going to start, and I'll let you talk about some of yours. I'm going to start with my favorite one, period. And I didn't realize it was my favorite one until I started playing Omen Sight. When I hit the dodge button in Omen Sight, if you upgrade your character with a certain ability, it allows time to slow down for half a second for you to get those slashes and those punches in. And I realized that's an underutilized hack and slash gameplay mechanic that I absolutely love. I love when you can dodge something perfectly and it slows down time and lets you beat the ever-loving crap out of whatever just tried to hit you. That's what
gives you that slight advantage.
Nier Automata, the chipset, I just stacked as much as I could in the chipset so that it would slow down time for like a solid 4 seconds or whatever it was, right? Every time I dodged. And I would purposely lure every enemy into a swing so that I could do that. And I do that now in Omen Sight. I purposely lure them into a swing and I dodge it and it slows down time. And then I can press R1 and he lays down a force field area and that slows down time again. And I can fight anything within that force field and time is slowed down. So I just wanted to point that out as one of my favorite gameplay mechanics. I have several others, but I know you came up with a few too, unless you just want me to roll through mine.
Well, no. To go along with that, I will go to the gameplay mechanic that Max Payne is so known for, and that's bullet time.
Yes.
Because it's kind of a slow dodge, right?
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
You kind of you go into that slow kind of jump, and then you have plenty of time to move the pointer around and pop the guns off, and how many ever guys before you fall to the ground. So yeah, bullet time from Max Payne is, just one of the almost quintessential game mode or game mechanics that, I don't know, was like the thing growing up, right?
Yeah, Max Payne was a big deal for me growing up. That's why I loved the Hong Kong Massacre. It was like a top-down Max Payne.
Yeah.
Bullet time.
Yeah, and just think of the influences that's had.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, what you got next?
I love a good parrying system. Like Dark Souls, right? That lets you parry.
Surprise, surprise, folks. Talking about Dark Souls.
And then, what else? I mean, think about Foul Play, the parrying system there. Yeah. Right? And so, anything that lets me parry, I really enjoy. And so, there's even a moment in Devil May Cry 4 when you're playing as Nero, and this is no spoilers because that game's so old. And you fight Dante for the second time, and every time you go to swing at him, he mimics your move, and so he ends up parrying almost everything you do, whether it's bullets from the gun or parrying your sword swings. Really frustrating fight until you get the hang of it.
Sure.
But I love a good parry mechanic when you're on the other end of it. Whenever I would parry something in Dark Souls and backstab it, or visceral it in Bloodborne, it just felt so satisfying every time. So with Bloodborne, you fire your gun as the parry, right? And then you would visceral that thing, and it never got old. I could do it through every enemy, every level, every section. And I was just like, oh, that feels so good every single time. And so a good parrying system is, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I love parrying guys and then just swinging my axe and launching them like 10 feet across the area. You know?
Yeah.
So good parrying system is good for me. That's paramount, I'd say. Parrying and dodging.
Okay. Man, I should have wrote down mine. I forget them now.
Well, think about that for a second.
I'm gonna go back to. I just remembered, Prince of Persia days and the time rewind. I love a game that uses rewinding time.
Okay.
Because, like, you make mistakes. It happens, you know what I mean? And then, or like you're like, oh, I can't do this properly, or I gotta work this out. I also like it when they like let you rewind things, but like stay in place. I know like some games will like puzzle games will do, like there'll be like some puzzle games where like, you you'll be like going through the puzzle and then you have to like rewind the mechanics of the puzzle. Yes. But you're still in the same spot. Yeah, I don't know. The rewind time mechanic is one of the things that I always loved about Prince of Persia, and I'm sad that there's no Prince of Persia anymore.
I know.
I feel like that was a good franchise that kind of just died off. I mean, obviously, Assassin's Creed, I think, kind of stepped up and took its place to a certain extent. But I feel like if another Prince of Persia came out and was really well made, I would definitely dive back into it.
Well, now's the perfect time because of the way the gen systems are. You could do so much more with it.
I
also have a secret dirty confession. I'm going to confess right here, right now.
Uh-oh, dirty confession time.
I've never played a Prince of Persia game.
What?
I've never played one.
Get out of here.
I always wanted to play them growing up, and I don't know what, I mean, this is before I could afford and had disposable income. I'm pretty sure I could just never purchase one, and I just never did. I don't know why.
I feel like it's like I don't know. I feel like it's just like almost I mean, this is very minimalizing, but a middle, like, Eastern Tomb Raider.
Yeah. And it's actually one of those games that if you would tell people, oh, what's the top 100 games you have to play to consider yourself a gamer or something, I'm sure that would be on a lot of people's lists. It's just 100%. Such a classic, and I just never got to it. And so, whoops.
Well, now that I know, you're not a true gamer.
I know. All these other things I play, forget it.
But yeah, you're a trophy whore. That's what you are. I'm a bold-faced liar. Not a true gamer. You're just a trophy whore.
Yeah, I'm a bold-faced liar. So anyway, there's that. I also
What's next for
really
you?
enjoy. So this one's going to be controversial. This will be my hot take one.
Uh-oh.
I know a lot of people hate it, but in a game like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where I like this game, I think I like this gameplay mechanic more now as an adult than I did as a teenager. Because as a teenager, or even somebody like 10 years ago, or even 7 years ago when I had way more time in life, I loved wandering everywhere through a world. Now I love a good fast travel mechanic.
Oh my gosh.
I need it.
Yeah. Well, honestly though, I feel like that is a testament to how things have come about within games, right? Yes. Games are so big right now, and the worlds are so massive that you kind of have to do that. If you don't, you're just gonna. I mean, you're gonna. It's gonna what's gonna happen is it's gonna be like Red Dead, and I'm gonna stop playing it because I was bored. As gorgeous as the world was, it was annoying because it was just so slow to like go through the world.
Yeah. I hear you. And that's the truth. I mean, it's a great game. I want to get back to it, but goodness, is it slow. It is so slow at times. And so when it's that painful, it's kind of hard to go, oh, yeah, I can't wait to ride my horse for 40 minutes across the map, listen to them talk when I only have 30 minutes to play.
Yeah.
And so I do love a good fast travel system. The other one I'm going to throw out there that I really enjoy is a good nemesis system. And that's kind of ambiguous, but very specific at the same time. I'm not talking about AI in general. I'm talking about like Shadow of Mordor.
Okay, I was going to say their actual nemesis system.
And I don't understand how that's not a mechanic that more than just those two games why more games haven't used it than just those two. that's so brilliant to defeat an enemy or fight an enemy in an open world game and have that enemy or have that. So, I mean, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that would have been a perfect game to do that with all those bounties and all the rankings. You defeat.
I mean, I feel like that's a variation on that, is it not?
It is, but those guys don't. They don't run away, right? They never run away, or you don't run. You can run away, but they're not going to come back and be like, "Oh, hey, remember when I defeated you?" Or like when you die, they're not going to be like, "Oh, remember when I defeated you last time?" That's just such a great gameplay mechanic. It makes you feel like the game knows you and recognizes you and recognizes your choices, and yet so little of it's used.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, you can disagree.
I will say, well, no, I will say Far Cry uses that a little bit. I mean, you have to kind of take back the world, and each of the areas is run by his lieutenants before you can even get to the main guy.
Yeah.
So that's another variation on that, obviously. And the more you do, the more they come back at you, kind of a thing.
Right. But you just haven't. You don't see it with anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's. I'm sure there's someone listening and they're going, "No, there's this game. Please tweet us what game you're talking about. If there's any games that you can think of that have that kind of nemesis system.
Tweet me at We Are One, You Are Two, and let me know, because I would love to play a game like that.
Yeah, and maybe they're like tactical games that we just don't really get into or play.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of like to a certain extent, a real-time tactic kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I want another game with that. You got any others?
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's an oldie but a newie.
Okay.
Or at least it's been done very well in Apex Legends, that ping system, man.
Yes. That
ping system is...
so good.
On point.
Yes.
I know it's kind of punny, but I mean, it really is done very well. And you've done something right when another game steals your same mechanic.
Yeah, within and this is the world we live in, right? Within weeks.
Oh, yeah. Fortnite was like, oh, we can do that.
Yeah,
too.
we've been thinking about that. We have. We've been thinking about that.
Yeah,
and Battlefield 5, of course, is like, oh, yeah, we've had that, planned since last time we talked about our Battle Royale.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine. I want a game to help mold or help progress a genre in that way. That's what I love about it. That's why I love the mechanics of that. Now there is another one. I don't necessarily know if it's a mechanic as much as it is a choice.
Okay.
But I loved the choice of the one shot for God of War.
Okay.
And how that kind of affected the mechanics in general. Because that was like an overlying thing, right? That's something they wanted to do with the game. They wanted it to look like one continuous shot. So I think that kind of, even though it's not a mechanic per se, I feel like that shaped their mechanics completely.
Okay.
Because if they didn't kind of have that, I feel like things would have been a lot different.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's more of a a narrative storytelling, but it is gameplay. I guess. I mean, you're not really playing though with that, but that is that choice to have the loading, masked in such a way. They kind of did it in a better way that kind of like what Max Payne did, right? Where Max Payne, all the loading was during the cutscenes.
Cutscenes, right.
They've done it in such a way, but didn't make it apparent cutscenes. It almost felt like it felt more natural. So
yeah.
Do you have any least favorites? Because I do want to mention 3 of my least favorites.
3 of your least favorites? Oh man.
So think about that for a minute. I'll give you mine. 2 of them tie together. One is inventory organization, when that becomes a gameplay mechanic, that you force me to manage my inventory in a game. And I don't mean...
Give me examples.
Fallout 3, you become over-encumbered, right? Now, that's partly because Fallout 3 kind of unconsciously makes you a hoarder. And so that doesn't.
I was about to say, you just are a hoarder, Rob. That's your fault.
Well, I mean, I'm like, what if I need this spoon later? It's kind of like actually when I was playing the Division 2, I looted a backpack that was on the street of DC, and you know what it gave me? A pencil. I was like, what is it? How am I going to use a pencil in crafting? Am I going to take the eraser off and it's going to be like the silencer for a gun? What's going on here?
You can sell that. That's a trinket to sell, Robert.
Oh, pencil,
come on.
yeah. I get a quarter for it or half a credit or whatever the garbage is they're paying with in that game. So,
hey, man, it's the apocalypse. Pencils could be worth a lot of money.
So it would be the paper to write it on. But inventory.
No, that's everywhere. True. Do you see how much garbage there is in that game?
That's true. Inventory organization, right? Anything that comes down to that.
Okay.
Because I do like picking stuff up, and I don't mind if there's a limit, but make that limit reasonable, right? Make it like where I can still pick up a ton of crap in a level or an area, and make it sensible where I can do something with it where I don't have to feel like I have to run back to a base or run back to a storage bin. I hate that. Now, Resident Evil, I always liked the inventory management and inventory stuff because it forced me to really think about my choices of what weapons was I carrying, what herbs would I carry, would I combine them, when would I do this, when would I do that. So it can be used smartly. And something like Assassin's Creed, it never feels burdensome. Red Dead, it never feels burdensome. But I do hate it in a lot of games. And the other one I hate that ties into that often goes with inventory organization, I feel like they're always in games together, is crafting. I really hate crafting.
You like crafting?
I really hate crafting.
Really?
Well, because you know what it is? Again, this is something that 18-year-old or 21-year-old or even 25-year-old would disagree with 34-year-old me. I'm not a fan of spending my half hour or hour that I have to game, 35 minutes of it organizing my inventory or 35 minutes of it going, I need to craft a better weapon. Maybe I should craft this instead. You know, just give me a select upgrade tree, skill tree or weapon tree or things like that, and let me go. I don't want to have to break parts down and then reorganize them into something. Like, I know the Division has a crafting system for all that stuff you pick up. I'd rather loot the armor off the bodies or loot the armor out of the crates and just wear that than try to craft my own.
Yeah.
I just don't care about it. And so those are two of my least favorites. My third least favorite to wrap up for me is fetch quests. Like fetch, or I'll put two of these together. Fetch quests or I just lost the name of it. The guiding escort. Thank you. Escort quests. I hate making, nothing slows me down more than when it's like, let's get to this next area, but before you get to this next area, I need this thing, and that thing. And guess what? I just happen to leave them in three very disparately different places. And even though they all go together, I somehow was in these three areas across the map that you need to get. Or, even in Odyssey, sometimes I was annoyed and it felt a little bit more natural in Odyssey because he's like, before you help me, you need to help my friend, and then you need to help this guy, and then help this guy. That was a little bit different because I wasn't fetching anything. I felt like I was legitimately helping somebody. But I also, speaking of Assassin's Creed, I hated the old escort quests.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand those because your companion's always so useless and dies so easily. And I hate when they die and it's not your fault. Like, they're just stupid. They get in the way. They clearly don't know how to hide. They're running towards the enemy that's running towards them. And it's like, what are you doing? So anyway, those are just three of my least favorite gameplay mechanics, along with all those awesome ones like parrying, hack and slash, dodging, fast travel, and Nemesis.
Yeah, I will say the annoying one, it's similar to that, was in Assassin's Creed, was when you had to like be in the circle of listening because you were eavesdropping on a conversation.
Yes.
And then, of course, they would like turn a corner in such a way that the circle would be super weird. But if you got close enough, you would be seen. It was like, what is going on? And then you could like legit miss parts of the story because you were out of the listening circle. I'm like, I feel like this is relatively important dialogue that I need to know, yet this game is keeping me from
And I
it.
kind of wish that if you missed that dialogue, it'd be like, I have no idea what to tell you to do next on the map. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah,
But instead,
exactly.
you're always like, oh, I
Exactly
missed half
right.
that conversation, but I know I need to head over here. My assassin knows I need to
Yeah.
head over here. Garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. I'm trying to think what else.
Yeah, if you can think of anything.
I do hate useless AI. That is my
Like
biggest
co-op
pet
AI
peeve.
or like AI as in like,
Both.
okay. Like even enemies that are useless,
Well, I
I
mean,
guess for lack of a better word.
enemies. Most of the enemies are useless to
That's
a certain
true.
extent. I mean, that's their job to be useless. But I will, yeah, like it's mainly co-op AI. That's just like really frustrating and annoying. And it's just like, why do I have to put up with someone who's like really not going to help me in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else like really peeves me.
Yeah, I'd be curious if there's anything else you can think of. I know for me, it's funny because just listening to us talk about this, it seems like the majority of it is Assassin's Creed is guilty of it some way or another. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh, you just reminded me. Oh my gosh. Okay. So they don't do it so much in games anymore, but the closing off of the world, like Assassin's Creed
Oh,
used
yeah,
to,
yeah.
like you're exiting the memory. You're gonna be desynchronized.
Oh yeah, desynchronization.
Just because you couldn't, because you weren't able to access that. What they've done now is they made the enemies super hard in that area, which I love. Because
you can still do it with a little bit of gut
it's
and
my
determination.
fault for being an idiot and going over there, right? I know that they're like, level 30 and I'm level 15. I know I'm going to get my butt whipped. But if I can sneak in and steal what I want to steal and come back out, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I
Who
mean?
does a really good job with that originally was The Witcher. The Witcher did a really great job
Yeah.
of like, okay, we don't want to close you off, but we're going to let you
Right.
know that there's like a level 60 enemy here and you're level 10.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, good. So that's all I've really got for that.
Oh, going back to one that I like, and this kind of goes back to Assassin's Creed 2. I really do like the viewpoint kind of things to open up the map.
Okay.
I like that as a mechanic to open up maps. Is going to like a high area or anything, even if like I think in one of the Far Cries it was like, the radio towers or whatever, right? That was their thing in Far Cry was turning on the radio towers because you could access stuff better, or there'd be more communication or whatever between the people. I really like that as a mechanic. I think that's really kind of smart. I know it's tedious. I know people hate it, but I don't know. I just really there's something about. Because I'm the person that wants to open the map up completely, like right away. So that's what I'll do. I'll run around to all those things, even if they're in high levels where there's like the level 90 guys or whatever, and I'll still run up and try to unlock the map before I get killed.
Yeah.
That's a fun challenge to me,
That'd be a great trophy.
right? And like even in the Division, like it's kind of blurry, right? You know what I mean? So I'll run to those little areas just to like quote unquote find the location, and then it like lights up on the map, and then I'll run right back out because I know that like some like level 30 guys gonna come around the corner and pop me in the face and instant kill me. You know what I mean?
hear you.
But yeah, I do like those mechanics.
Cool.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
All right, that sounds like a good one. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap it up, I think, for the talk. I'm pretty content there. I think
Yeah.
just like last week where we talked about comfort food, and I thought we hit some good ideas for comfort food games. I like our
Yeah.
list here for, what we came up with as some of these ideas for just the stuff here in terms of gameplay mechanics. I think this is a good.
Yeah.
And I'm
absolutely.
sure if I thought about it more, there would be other ones that were even more interesting. But I kind of like the ones that jumped to my mind right away. I thought they were great, great ideas here. All right. So let's go ahead then, Matt. And I don't really have a 2-minute review because I was going to talk about Omen Sight, but I think I'm going to wait on that because I kind of got distracted from it. I don't feel like I could do it justice. So let's go ahead and actually move into the blog and talk about what's coming out this week in our See You Soon.
Ooh, see you soon? I'm excited.
I'm excited because actually what we're going to do with this week, now that we're here, is we're actually going to be able to talk about games that are coming out this week as we release this podcast because we're recording a little bit later than usual. So usually it's the week before in case you missed any. But we're going to hit on the games that are coming out this week. And so this will be exciting. And so I'm going to let you start today.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, because I want to hear how you pronounce this first one.
Alwa's Awakening. Yeah, Alwa. ALWA''S. Alwa's Awakening. PS4 digital out 3/21. Alwa's Awakening is a game that tries to stay close as possible.
Yeah, you mean to start that one over.
Garbage. Alwa's Awakening is a game that tries to stay as close as possible to the authentic 8-bit look with sweet pixel art, a soundtrack filled with catchy chip tunes, and so much charm it'll bring you right back to the golden age of video games.
Do you remember...
That was one of the best descriptions I've had in a long time, Robert.
And what actually chiptunes makes me think of... Remember when we had Chase on the show? He did a lot of stuff with chiptunes, and so... I'd be curious to see what he thinks of that soundtrack. Chase, if you're listening, hit me up on Twitter and let us know. I'd be curious if you've checked out Alwa's Awakening.
Yeah. It told me nothing about the game, really.
It didn't. But it still sounded cool. It was a good description.
Yeah, but it still made it intriguing, right?
All right. So I guess I'll talk about this one. It looks like trash, but I'm curious. American Ninja Warrior. Do you have the strength and endurance to jump, swing, and sprint your way to hitting the buzzer at the end? Race against the clock with your friends and family while testing your skills in couch multiplayer. That's so weird that they called it couch multiplayer. Or take on the challenging career mode. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
What's interesting about that is it looks like one of those Wii Sports games.
Yeah, a little bit.
So...
I gotta say though, the one guy in the front looks kind of like a Fortnite character.
Yeah, it's got that style actually a little bit. I feel like they're trying to,
a little cartoony-ish, but kind of realistic. Yeah. All right, Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, everybody, bundle. What? Everybody is two different words. Every and buddy, Buddy. Yes. So like all the buddies. PS4 digital out 3/20. Explore and adventure through the challenges of countless dungeons, battling monsters with new buddy system. The new buddy system, and gain amazing abilities and outfits with the job change system to beat the beasties.
At first, I thought you were reading that very weirdly.
I thought so. That sounded weird, right? Explore and adventure through the challenge. I was confused by it. So what you were hearing was the confusion in my voice because I was like, "Is this grammatically correct?"
I thought maybe you had fallen ill over there the way you'd read these last two.
Yes, I was having a stroke.
But I now realize that's just awkwardly syntactically worded.
Yeah, exactly. So my brain had a stroke because of how weirdly worded it was.
All right, I'm going to cover Cube Zone, PS4 digital. Cube Zone is a frenetic puzzle game. Think fast, match the color patches on the board, or drop them all before you reach the end. It may no capital at the end of that exclamation point there. It may seem easy at first, but different maps and varied mechanics will put your reflexes to the test. Now, this next one I'm super excited about.
Is frustrating. Oh,
yeah, because I looked at the gameplay, and it's like hack and slash heaven.
Okay, well, I get to read it. Fate Extella Link, PS4, PS Vita. We know Rob loves Vita. Digital retail. The digital realm of Seraph? I don't know if it's supposed to be Seraph or I'm supposed to pronounce those all individually. SE.RA.PH. Let's go with Seraph. I don't know. Faces a new kind of threat, and heroic spirits from across the Fate series have joined forces to defend it. In Fate Extella Link, you'll hack and slash your way across dynamic battlefields with polished graphics, detailed character customization, and refined gameplay.
I just like that it looks like you're going to hack and slash your way through like 70 to 100 enemies at a time on screen.
I will say that like the Dynasty Warriors, like, because that's kind of like that's definitely a hack and slash thing, and you're like on a battlefield with like hundreds of people. I did love those games.
Yeah. And so that's very much
just like a really aggressive button masher, you know.
And I will tell you that Fate, the previous game, Fate Extella, they came out. Oh man, I can't remember what year it came out. 2016 maybe. That is on sale as part of that sale this week. It's normally $39.99. I think it's down to either $14 or $19.99. And so you could get an opportunity to mess around with that this week if you're looking to dive into that one like I would before Extella Link. All right, I'm even more excited for this one because it was on Switch last year. The Messenger comes to PS4 digital. As a demon army besieges his village, a young ninja ventures through a cursed world to deliver a scroll paramount to his clan's survival. What begins as a classic action platformer soon unravels into an expansive, time-traveling adventure full of thrills, surprises, and humor.
Interesting. All right, up next, Peasant Knight. PS4, PS Vita, digital cross-buy. Oh, cross-buy, Robert? I know you're getting this one. All right, Peasant Knight is a challenging puzzle platformer that you can play with only 2 keys, or in this case, buttons, I think is what they mean. Jump and stop. All the while, you're relentlessly dashing forward into traps, enemies, and hazards. Peasant Knight is a tongue-in-cheek tone that fits well the many ways to reach your demise. That sounds pretty good. I might have to buy that one.
I like the cover art.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Is this why you had me go first? Did you count
I did not, actually. It's really funny. I did not.
Okay. All right.
Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, out PS4 digital, out 3/22, digital and retail. You are the one-armed wolf, a disgraced and disfigured warrior. Bound to protect a young lord, you become the target of many vicious enemies. When the young lord is captured, nothing will stop you to regain your honor. Not even death itself. And what I like about this one is they have a revive mechanic that if you die, you can use it in limited amounts, and from what I understand, it affects the ending you get. You can revive yourself and go right back into the battle. So most Souls games, you die, you go back to the bonfire, you work your way back. There's a revive mechanic. You can literally bring yourself back with like 3/4 health or something and start right where you left off, or continue right where you left off. And so I'm super excited about this game. There's the trophy list is a lot of bosses, it looks like, and at least 4 different endings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. SNK 40th Anniversary Collection, PS4 digital retail. 2018 marked the 40th anniversary of legendary studio SNK. To celebrate this extraordinary milestone, a variety of classic arcade games from SNK's golden age are coming back together in one anthology, packed full of retro games and a treasure trove of features.
Very nice.
When I was first looking over that, I was like, "What the heck?" I was like, "SNK? I've never even heard of that game." Well, it's not a game. It's a studio. What a dummy.
It's all right. Super Kickers League, PS4 digital, out 3/20. I haven't read the description yet. I really hope this is like kickball. Let's find out. The best arcade experience in football fantasy are waiting for you in Super Kicker League. There are no referees, no rules. Everything is loud. The only aim is to score more goals than your rival. Okay. Soccer, maybe?
Cool. Yeah, probably. All right. War Theater. Oh, I kind of want to buy it just because of the name. PS4 digital cross-buy. An endless conflict rages. 7 warriors discover an ancient power that promises mastery over any battlefield. From the developers of Plague Road, War Theater expands classic turn-based strategy gameplay with RPG elements. Well, you lost me at turn-based strategy.
I read the description before you said anything, and I was like, when he gets down to turn-based, he's going to be like, I don't want to buy this anymore.
You were right, Robert. You know me. You know me very well.
And so I was chuckling to myself when you're like, I think I might want to buy this based on the title. I was like, no, you don't.
Nope. Wah, wah.
All right, so my pick this week is Sekiro, obviously. I think it's going to be followed number 2 by The Messenger, and then third by Fate Extella Link. So, good week.
I think for me, I don't know, I kind of like wanted to see what All Was Awakening is about. And also Peasant Knight. I think those are the two. Those are my top 2.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to do it. For See You Soon.
That's it?
We're done? For us, I think, too, yeah.
Yeah. I will say one thing before we go, because this may have been in the news. I don't know. Maybe it got lost in the shuffle of endless news that we reported on this week. However, a little shout out to the new design of the Alpine Green DualShock controller that's coming in April.
Yes.
I really like this design. It's really kind of crisp. It has a really cool green and that really crisp white to go with it. I don't know. I think I might pick this up.
I know. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I really like it. So, yeah. I just thought I'd mention
And if you were on Twitter, you'd know that I tweeted about that and said this is why I already have like 4 controllers this generation. Because I have the red.
Because the color schemes are pretty awesome.
I have 2 white. I had the limited edition blue. And I want to add some of the other colored ones as well. So, the various colors.
You know, it's really funny because my girlfriend got me a decals to put Pittsburgh Penguins decals to put on my controllers. She's like, "How come you haven't used that? I thought that's something you would really like." And I was like, "Sweetie, I love you and thank you for buying it, but all my controllers are special editions. I don't want to add it to that. I don't have any regular controllers right now. I have the Darth Vader special edition controller that came with the Battlefront PS4, which I currently own. I have the 10th anniversary special edition controller, and I have the 500 million special edition controller. So all of the controllers I own at the moment are special editions, and I feel like those just deserve to be decals.
I hear you.
But I feel bad, so I'm gonna have to buy. Maybe I'll have to buy like 2. I'll have to buy a regular black one so I can put on the decals, and then I'll buy the Alpine Green as well.
Yeah, there's a few color schemes that I really like that I haven't purchased yet that I'll look into. So, all right, that's gonna wrap it up. We want to thank you for hanging out with us today. Remember, if you like what you hear, you can go find us over on Patreon. You can find us over on YouTube. You can find us on pretty much any social media. You can you can do any other thing you want to do in terms of sharing our podcast or even donating to us. But thanks for hanging out. If you've heard anything that you want to respond to or talk to us about, you can find us on Instagram at weare1ur2_gaming. You can find me on Twitter at weare1ur2. Certainly there is our website as well at weare1ur2games.com. You might see a trend here if you're listening.
What are some of your favorite gameplay mechanics? Hit us up and let us know.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us, and until next time, game on.
Game on. This is the outro music. It's gonna be spooky, spooky outro music. Ooh.
Yeah.
That stupid X-Files song. It's stuck in my head so bad. Yeah. But that's why it's spooky outro music.